Need to get some sort of cool robot voice that announces that. All right, looks like we're live on YouTube. Periscope is online. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome
Hey
to the
guys.
Crypto Campfire.
Hey!
Today we're going to be talking with Layah Heilpern, a blockchain journalist. And I would say before we start talking to her, let's grab the crypto news from the Crypto Gym. But I can't do that because we're live and I forgot that. So one of these days we'll have some stuff ready and we'll actually get the gent ready to go and we'll fire up some news on the live streams. But
that would be sick.
We'll have to do this in post on Anchor. So keep an eye out for that on iTunes. But let's just dive right in. Layah, how did you get into crypto in the first place?
This is so exciting. So firstly, thanks for having me. So just like a little brief before I go into that, the truth is, here's a secret. I always get super nervous before I do these podcasts because usually I'm on the other end, and I have like my questions and it's just sort of there. So I'll take my time with this. Like I get so nervous with it. Okay, I'll try to keep it super short. So it was about 2 years ago. And I was offered a job. I was unhappy where I was with my current job. And I was offered a job. It was what I wanted, but it was in crypto. And I was just like, what the hell is that? What is crypto? What is blockchain? But thought I'd give it a go anyway. And then I kind of fell in love with it from there. So that's kind of how I got in. A random job offer, basically.
Nice. Sometimes it's a long, complicated path, and sometimes people just like fall into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird one because so with me, it's really bizarre, but I've tried to leave the space, I think twice or once or something, but I just got dragged back in. So now I'm just here and that's just it. I think it's like a permanent kind of thing at this point.
Tried to leave. Why? Did that bad stuff
no,
happen?
so like no, honestly, no. Basically, like I always had in my mind that I would do politics. Like I'll be a political journalist, be a correspondent, very like straight-laced, very BBC style. But I didn't like it when I got it. So I
don't blame you. I can't talk politics. I hate talking. I like talking politics, but I hate talking politics.
No, so I love it. No, I love it. But I think it's just like, it was like that traditional world. I was just like, it just doesn't sit right with me. I'm not somebody that can be put in a box, and I think that's what like the traditional world is. It's like a box that is already made and created for you generations ago. And I don't want to be in that box, basically.
So when you like graduated from high school and went into college, when did you actually realize that you wanted to be a journalist?
Okay, so gosh, these are such interesting questions. All right, I need to think about this. Okay, so I was 16, I believe. And like I said, I love politics. I just love talking about things that matter. I like the human condition, the way humans behave. And I think journalism is the human condition on a bigger scale because you're reporting on human behavior, human activity. So yeah, I think I was about 16, but I didn't know whether I wanted to do like hard news or entertainment. And sort of going through university, I sort of figured I'd want to do hard news and then so on and so on.
Okay. All right, cool.
So since you started doing crypto interviews, who's been the most most interesting guest to you? Or maybe I should say, who have you learned the most from?
Okay, so there's two parts to that. So I could go from who's the most interesting guest to, let's start with interesting guest because it's different. Because I spoke with a woman. Yeah, I spoke with a woman called Adrian Ashley. Do you know who she is?
I don't.
You don't? Okay, no,
sounds like she's gonna have to be on the Campfire though here pretty soon.
Oh, she's wild. Like I don't know if you're ready for Adrian Ashley. So basically, she is the founder of something called Lolly.io. Basically, a tech company using blockchain technology, trying to improve women's sex lives using blockchain technology. It was the most unbelievable. Yeah, I know. I see your face, Mitch. It was the most unbelievable interview I've ever done in my life. Like this woman did not hold back, and I'm sitting there and like this is like a proper professional setting, a studio, and I had all the men in the gallery doing all like the technical stuff, and I'm just sitting there. She's asking me questions as well. She's like, when this happens, and I'm like, can't answer that, love. Like, don't ask me anything. I'm like, I'm working right now. Don't ask me my opinion. I ask you your opinion.
Right.
So that was like the most interesting thing I've done. And I think like I was really inspired just by how she didn't give a shit. She was just like, this is the situation, this is this, and we're using blockchain technology to improve this and that. So I was like, cool. So that was the most interesting one. The person that I learned the most from, I always enjoy speaking to Mark Yusko. I mean, he's unbelievable. So I don't even interrupt him. I just sit there and listen. I'm just like, okay, so Bitcoin's going to 400K. Right. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Hey, it is.
Like,
I'm stacked up. I'm looking for my 400K Bitcoin bags.
Right.
Yeah, so
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
is it now? Do I just sit and wait? Like,
When's it gonna happen?
Yeah, literally.
I had a lot of fun when we did that little snippet interview that you did.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed watching the one that Paul did too. It was weird when you break it up into segments like that, and you're watching these segments and the questions, and you know some of the interactions we got from those questions and answers. It's like, oh my gosh, you get chastised for an opinion. It's like, relax, man. It's just my opinion. Don't mean nothing.
But you and Paul did a really good job of responding to them in a really smart way, and it's something that I've actually learned from both of you.
Oh,
So
cool.
It's actually really interesting because when people just replied like, no, that's not true, you would just be like, okay, yeah, I mean, it's just my opinion. Like, you just let it go. I was like,
Right.
That is so good. Just let it go. Like,
It's
that's something
hard.
I
There was
really
one time
need to
you
do.
said, Mitch, you're too nice. And I was just like, whatever. I just let it. I can be.
Yeah, he's good at
sometimes.
that. I'm not. That's not. I try. I do my best, and most of the time I just send him a hug gif or something like that. But
That's nice.
I get fired up a little bit inside sometimes, and I'm just like, fuck
I
you.
just like to make them think. You know,
Yeah,
when
it's
people
Yeah.
fun that way.
contradict
It is.
your ideals or your ideas or opinions, when people contradict those, you know, you want to find out, okay, well, why? And what are you thinking? Where's your thought process coming from that's causing this friction between our opinions, right? So when you start digging into that and you start actually making them think, so that all of a sudden they're not this attacking force, they're trying to back up a little bit and answer these questions that actually make people think. So
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I just think you did such a good job of like pacifying the situation. I'm just terrible. I have a really bad habit of just biting back, and
right.
I've been like that for years. Like, even I remember I've been on trips and traveled around, and people that I'd meet would just be like, Layah, you just bite back so much, don't you? And I'm like, no, just you know. So you taught me that, so there you go. I don't do that anymore. I try not to.
It's hard because you have to be able to separate, you know, it from your emotions. You have to leave emotions out of it. I mean, nothing ever really good comes in a debate when emotions are involved. So, you know, the best way to do it is just like, this isn't personal. This is just a discussion. We're talking about a topic, and it is what it is. Now, there's some people that just continue to get under your skin, and you're like, all right, I just can't do this. You get to a point, you know, but it takes a lot sometimes to get to that point.
But you say like it's just a discussion, but like, is it a discussion? Can one have a healthy discussion on Twitter? I think not. I mean, the characters are just too small. Like, I saw somebody write a metaphor, and it was like, having a debate on Twitter is like having a sword fight in a telephone box. I was just like, that is spot on, right? You know, like, you can't do anything, which is why I tend to do videos a lot. I tend to sort of say, okay, these are my thoughts, because I cannot write them, because y'all are not going to get it.
Right.
And I can't bother to respond. So here it is. Nice and eloquent.
Mitch, we're going to have to talk to Benza about a graphic of sword fighting in a telephone box.
Yes.
Yeah, you should do it.
That's
Campfire
an
telephone
image we have to
box.
see. There we
Yeah.
go. Maybe we should build a real one, and we can just host sword fights in a telephone box.
Oh my God.
Just for the people that just can't get enough of the crypto Twitter. We can get the degens involved.
Oh my gosh.
It is literally wild on there.
This is going to be a crazy,
Twitter
it's going to be a
gets nuts.
crazy rest of the year. The next 6 months, I think, are going to be insane. And we're going to kick that off here next month.
So what do you
Camp
think's
Westwood
happening?
action.
We have actually he's calling it Westwood 2020. So
Okay.
Clint Westwood
What's happening?
is a really good friend of ours, and he has some property in Illinois, and we are doing he's doing Westwood 2020, and we're doing a campfire weekend. So people are going to come, we'll go camp. We're going to camp, you know, set up tents. We'll have campfires going, you know, I mean, barbecue, just good friends, good people hanging out together. And it's going to be pretty amazing. You know, this year had to be invite only, and we only had a set amount of people that we were inviting. So, because it is a private residence and stuff like that, we wanted to kind of keep it somewhat seclusive. But next year and the year after, I think things are going to start opening up a little bit more. Who knows what the future holds for all of us, but this is like the first. And
that sounds like so much fun.
So exciting.
No, honestly, that sounds like so much fun.
Oh yeah, for
Lots
sure.
of campfire trips in our future. I can't wait to start doing little camp outs and stuff like that and travel around the world. And we have our little campfire camping trips with people in the
campfire weekends. I love it.
Oh, I'm so jealous. I love this. I feel like that's just something we lack in the UK. There's just, I don't know what it is. It's such an American thing. I'm telling you, like from a British perspective, it's such an American thing to like have this like camping within you, like we don't just do that. Of course, like some families do that, but like we don't just do that. I can't explain it. It seems more American, honestly, just to like get your shit and go camping. Like
get your shit and go camping.
Get your shit and go camping. We don't.
Oh my god, I can't bring my laptop.
Yeah, literally.
No electricity. How am I gonna dry my hair?
Bring a solar panel. You'll get
Yeah, exactly.
Put it in a ponytail. Let's go.
Exactly. I think my favorite UK related camping trip is on Top Gear when they all.
What's that? I know Top Gear, but I don't know the camping trip.
Okay. It was one of the Top Gear specials, and they got their campers and everything, and they customized them like they always do with their cars, and they built all kinds of crazy shit and took off on a road trip going camping. And if I recall correctly, I think Richard Hammond set his on fire while they were going down the road. And I mean, I don't know. It was an amazing. I got to go back and watch it. It was great.
That is super cool. Yeah, I don't know. You guys don't do it like we don't do it like you guys do it, like at all. It's full blown American. Like I even worked on an American summer camp, and having like a campfire was just such a vibe that you guys did. You wouldn't see that on a British summer camp here, like whatsoever.
We got to fix that.
Yeah, we do.
That's not
it's
okay.
Not. It's part of like, I feel like it's part of, I don't know, becoming strong in some way. If you can sort of like tackle the outdoors, you can tackle the woods, you can sort of tackle life or something like that. I don't know.
I'll go with it. I feel that's what I could take on anything because I can go to the woods, I can hunt, I can do it. That means I can survive forever. I always say if the world ends, I'm going to the mountains. If the world ends, I'm going to the mountains. Nobody would find me up there. I got miles and miles and miles and miles where nobody would find me. I might not last long, but damn it, I'm going to the mountains.
Do it. I'd be happy to join you. I'm trying to get out of the city myself because I'm in London and it's just ugh.
I'm not a city person. It's too much for me.
Have you ever like been out to the countryside where you have just like streams and trees?
Have you ever seen nature? Have you seen nature, Layah?
I mean, I'm just asking. You live in the city. You've never been camping, so
yeah. No, I've been camping. I went camping in Spain actually, which was cool. That was super cool. Yes, of course. I've traveled the world. I've been camping in Israel as well.
Oh wow,
I slept in a car park. It was a camping site, I promise. And I have been. I've been around Asia and I've seen nice waterfalls and rivers and stuff. So I know
I'm jealous.
Oh, okay, fair enough. No, like in the UK we have some amazing sites. I think the problem is it's just always really bad weather, and so it's always really grey and really muddy, and so you're less likely to go.
I mean, I think that's when it's the most fun. If your car doesn't get stuck trying to go up the road, you're not doing something right.
Nah, see, that's an American thing. I'm telling you,
it's definitely an American.
Absolutely, thing. Yeah, because you guys have big trucks and everything. We don't do trucks here.
That's one thing I did find weird when I first started watching Top Gear several years ago. It was so odd to me that there was like no pickup trucks.
Well, there's a reason behind that. So I love pickup trucks. I wanted that as my first car, but obviously that's not what happened. But basically, we used to have big cars. And I remember this. It was like 15 years ago when then oil prices just shot up and every single person downgraded their car here to a small car. To like a 1.2 engine.
I could see that.
Economy is the thing, and it's interesting to see how things move forward with that too, because you start with the size being an issue, but as we move towards electric cars and stuff, it's less of a problem because you have so much torque in the electric motors that it's a lot easier to run a larger vehicle like a truck on the same or very similar amounts of energy. So as we see more efficient methods of energy and move on beyond fossil fuels, I think we're going to start having less issues with that. And you don't have to get 5 miles per gallon in your Hummer. You can have a Hummer that drives just as far as your Honda. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited for, you know, to talk. I'm just excited to see what like the tech space has for us. I think it's the fastest moving thing I've ever seen right now. And, you know, we always look at like the world and we have all these problems in the world right now, and we're sort of trying to find an answer. And we sort of agree that we're just not going to find an answer tomorrow, right? Or in the next 5 years. Whereas with tech, you can sort of like guarantee that tomorrow it's going to be different. The day after it's going to be different. In 5 years, a different world. That's kind of what I'm loving about it right now. It's just everything is moving so fast.
No, you're absolutely right. So on that front, let's talk about crypto a little bit and blockchain in general as a data structure. So beyond the cryptocurrency world, so we're moving out of DeFi and money at this point in this particular part of the conversation. What use cases are interesting you of blockchain? There's so much going on that doesn't have to do with money, whether it's supply chain, whether it's decentralized content distribution for music and video.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So okay, this one's interesting because like I said, I tried to leave the space, then I got pulled back in and So the thing which I think really kind of struck me at first was the blockchain technology itself. Of course there's Bitcoin, but like that aside, it was the technology being used for social good. So I'm like a massive humanitarian in a kind of very different way than the rest of the other humanitarians. And I desperately love how blockchain technology is being used for social good. I think I covered a story over a year ago, and it was something about, I can't really remember, but it was something about tackling sex trafficking using blockchain technology. And I was just like, wow, like that is amazing, you know, putting people's documents, you know, house documents on the blockchain, and, you know, in sort of war-torn areas, the government can't come and repossess your house or whatever it is, you know, just blockchain for social good in general. Love what Acorn is doing. Massive fan of all of that, basically.
There's a lot going on. I haven't seen what Acon's doing specifically, but there's so much going on in that humanitarian side. I love seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I spoke to somebody, I have an interview coming out with a company who's basically trying to make gold mining in difficult areas in third world countries or whatever, try to make it more humanitarian and more efficient. And I love that, you know, anything humanitarian, I'm all for it.
So when it comes to cryptocurrencies, I notice a lot of your questions revolve primarily around Bitcoin. So are you a Bitcoin maximalist, or I mean, where do you stand with the other altcoins or the other currencies that are out there?
Yeah, so such a good question. Love this one. Okay, so Bitcoin for me is king, and in my opinion will always be king. But if being a Bitcoin maximalist means not being able to appreciate the value that other altcoins offer, then no, I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist on that front. So I love the thumbs up there. So, I mean, the thing is, like, I'm navigating around this crypto world, and I'm finding value in so many different cryptocurrencies. So how can I say, you know, they're shitcoins? I don't like the term shitcoin, and I don't really care what anyone thinks about that either, you know. It's stupid. It's so stupid. Like, I mean, I use crypto.com. I find value in MCO, and that I get 2% cash back. I stake, I get free Spotify, and so on. Like, that's value right there, you know? I think Quant, I don't know if you guys know about Quant, but I've been following that. That is super cool. I mean, that has just shot up massively over the last month. I should have bought, but I didn't. But
what's it called?
Quant. Am I pronouncing it badly? Do you know it?
No, that's right.
Quant. Q-U-A-N-T.
Q-U-A-N-T.
Quant.
Quantum. Is it quantum?
Quant.
Is that the same one, Professor?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It's the ticker is quant and quantum.
Okay,
yeah, Quant.
Yeah, quantums will tell you. I've been holding quantum since.
Have you?
The first time I bought it. The first time I bought, no, you shouldn't be. The first time I bought it,
he bought it in January 2018. I'm guessing.
No, I bought it at like I want to say $15 or $16.
Oh, you fucked up then. Okay.
And then it went up.
You
It went up
fucked
to
it.
like it went up to 25, right? So I traded half of it at the time. I sold half of it off, and I kept the other half. Well, I rode that other half all the way down, and then when it got into like the $3 and $4 range, I was like, holy shit! You know, this $25 potential coin.
So should I buy in now?
I started buying again, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and I've been buying it all the way down and really loading up when it, I mean, like I actually stopped myself at one point and said, come on, wait, we got to wait and see if it's going to come back first before you put any more.
I think it will.
I think everything I made off the gain, I've lost in the dips, but
yeah,
only if I sell it. Right. So I'm curious as to what that one's going to do. But I asked the question because, you know, there's so much conversation and talk about Bitcoin being slow, which it is, being expensive to transact in, which it is, and being extremely energy hogging. So all of those things, you know, the Lightning Network is supposed to resolve a lot of that stuff. But the thing is, there's already other ones out there doing it. Right. So like you have
I mean, it depends. I mean, it depends what you want to use it for. Right. And I think that's where it comes in. And like, you know, people don't appreciate the fact that it is a good store of value. Like anything can go to zero. But at the end of the day, and I quote Mark Yusko, because like I said, I'm a fan. He said to me, Satoshi Nakamoto favored security and security. What was it? Security and safety over efficiency. And I really respected that. Right. And I sort of thought, okay, fine, sense. You know, it does. And, you know, you can use it as a store of value. You can use Litecoin for day-to-day transactions. You can use XRP for so many other things. Like, do what you want with it.
I like to use the analogy of it. Like you have a savings account, you know, which is your Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin's like your savings account, right? You don't use it that often. And then you got Litecoin. That's my checking account, right? And then I have like Digibyte and you know, other ones for.
Can you tell me about Digibyte? Because I'm getting DMs about Digibyte all the time, and I'm just like, I need to look into this one.
You really do. Digibyte is in my opinion, obviously these not financial advice, but Digibyte is a great community. You know, they have a lot of interaction. And they have their own blockchain that just building it's a really fast means of transacting in. And their partnerships are really growing a lot. I think, you know, as a decentralized coin, they have a very long way to go. And I think they're going to do really well in the future.
What is their use case? Like, what are they working on? Or primarily, is it just they're just a crypto?
Well, they're more than just a crypto, and to be fair, I couldn't really spit out enough information solidly. So I haven't done enough research myself. I know a lot of people within the community. I've used it. You know, peer-to-peer transactions are extremely fast. So, you know, that's kind of what I'm going on.
I think one of the biggest things with Digibyte that kind of separates it from a traditional cryptocurrency is it enables NFTs and that kind of stuff. So it does have other, not necessarily layers. Layers would be an incorrect term on a technical level, but it has other pieces to it than just a standard cryptocurrency. So you can mint tokens. They have Digi assets. They're working on identification protocols like DigiID. I also am not very well versed on Digibyte, just things I've picked up from, you know, looking at a few things here and there. I hold a few of them, but it's certainly not a primary coin for me, but it's starting to catch more of my attention just because all of our friends are talking about it. And
exactly.
So
constantly. So
let's talk a little bit about the economy and kind of how that relates to Bitcoin, the devaluing of fiat currencies and that sort of thing. So moving forward, we obviously expect somewhat of an increase in crypto prices. Regardless of sort of how the rest of the economy works. But I guess the underlying question here is, what effect do you see the actual devaluing of fiat having on the price of Bitcoin and other currencies? And do you think that's going to be the main source of value increase?
So I think it's a really interesting one, right? Like the kind of narrative right now that we're all really enjoying is, you know, the government, the Federal Reserve, the central banks are printing more money, so buy Bitcoin, and I respect that, and I'm on board with that, like 100%. But like, it's an interesting one because I speak to a lot of people, being a journalist, and somebody that I spoke to, who's a fascinating individual. So I spoke to Andreas Antonopoulos, and he said to me, we don't really have a use case for it right now because we're not seeing hyperinflation. And I think that's sort of really interesting, because that kind of goes against the narrative that we're hearing. And I think there's a difference between inflation and hyperinflation, and we're not necessarily seeing hyperinflation. But then the question is, at what point does it stop? When does it become hyperinflation, right? So if we continue to print at this rate, I mean, the Bank of England just printed another 100 billion pounds the other day. So at what point does it stop and it then becomes hyperinflation? And I think we've seen what's happened in places like Venezuela. And if our governments are allowing this kind of monetary policy, then I think that will be the incentive to buy more Bitcoin. That will be where the mass adoption comes in, not necessarily because we see hyperinflation in the near future, but because we're going down that path. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you're absolutely right there. And one part that I didn't really clarify too much when I was asking the question is, so let's look at the actual underlying values of things. So let's just look at the dollar specifically. So as the dollar becomes worth less and less, even if Bitcoin doesn't become more popular, it doesn't start seeing more adoption, technically its value would go up, right? If $100 buys you a set of headphones today, and then $20 or it takes $500 to buy that set of headphones next week, but your Bitcoin stays the same, technically Bitcoin's dollar value is higher, even though that same amount of Bitcoin doesn't buy you more stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shifts as fiat gets devalued. There's going to be some increase on the dollar pegging just because of that, and then there's going to be further increase as we see adoption. So it'll be interesting there.
Personally, I think it's going to be years down the road. I say that, but it almost seems like years turn into months with technology advancement.
Yeah.
So, to say that years down the road that we won't even be thinking about dollar value. We will be thinking specifically in parts of a Bitcoin and thinking specifically in parts of Latoshis and
Do you
Satoshis.
think we will? Do you think?
I don't think we'll be thinking about like, how much does that cost? Well, that's 5 Satoshis, or that's 3 Latoshis. I mean, that's really where we're going to be headed if we think about it, because it is a currency.
It
So
is a currency.
And I think,
go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, that's my belief, as time evolves and as the whole financial situation evolves with cryptocurrencies, that's what we're looking at.
No, I totally agree with you. And I put out a tweet yesterday sort of saying, is Bitcoin going to become the world? Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, now you're back.
Was it me that went?
Yeah, I can.
No, Mitch.
It's me.
Mitch was like broken for a minute.
My internet like pops off for a couple seconds and it comes back on. So I
feel you. I didn't have good internet for about a month, and it was horrendous. Like it literally looked like I was like talking out of like a cave underground or some crap like that.
Talk about a squirrel moment. I mean, my son's really big into technology and he's always changing stuff around. And we had a problem with our modem, so he had a new modem put in, and we finally got our internet back on Tuesday. And then he bought this other router, which is supposed to be this amazing router for gaming and all this stuff. And he's like, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. I'm like, we got a damn good one up there now. Anyways, why are you going to change it? Well, I think this one might be better. And I'm like, but this one's working. Why change stuff if it's, and ever since he's changed it, now we lose internet for just sporadically for matter
Kick him out. What is he doing? Get rid of
I know.
him. Kick him out. How old is this kid? How old is he?
He's 23.
Oh yeah, time to leave. Tell him to
out the door. Sorry. You're not a networking professional. Don't touch my network.
Right. Exactly.
Literally.
So I'm gonna have to get on him for that. Switch it back. Put it back the way it was.
Put it back.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we won't have to worry about routers soon with everything Elon Musk is doing. I mean, shit, they're launching another 50-something Starlink satellites soon.
Oh my God, Elon Musk kills me.
That's crazy. So they're going to start offering satellite internet from these Starlinks here pretty soon. He announced it like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. So
what do you think about it?
There's just like anything, there's pros and cons to it. So at the base value, it's exciting because you're like, well, great, I can get internet via satellite from pretty much anywhere in the world at the once he reaches his goal of what he's trying to accomplish with this. Obviously not in the early stages, but then there's a downside of, well, now we're again sort of all connected, but who's monitoring the data, who's protecting that, What security
Mhm.
issues do we have? What other problems come out of this?
Mm.
Looking way forward, as we start dealing with space travel, we're going to have a lot more communications, interplanetary communications, which could cause
Damn.
more significant issues. And moving forward, we talked about Bitcoin in the past and its scalability issues, trying to adapt, and the energy consumption and things like that. That also falls into that same category with satellites and interplanetary communication. And once we start finding new fuels and other types of energy sources from outside of our existing planet, maybe that's not a problem anymore. Maybe the amount of electricity consumed to mine Bitcoins, maybe that's nothing anymore. Just like computing speeds, we couldn't even imagine some of the stuff that we're doing today 100 years ago. So
I think that's going to be a thing. I'm 100%. But just like a side point, because you brought it up, I'm so into space travel. Like, if it's anything to do with space, I'm so into it. My ex-boyfriend for Valentine's Day bought me a book about space.
nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
That's how into space I am.
That's perfect.
Along with
Space is
jewelry
cool.
and
It's so
roses and
cool.
chocolates, but space,
Yeah, I'm like a 5-year-old when it comes to space or like airplanes or trains. I'm just like, oh my God. We were out for our anniversary this last weekend, and we were hiking to Coolidge Ghost Town in Montana, which is way the fuck up in the top of the mountains. Like, we're a long ways away from people here. And all of a sudden I hear what's not a normal airplane. I'm like, holy shit, that might be a fighter jet.
Right.
And I look up, and in the tree line, I can see the dark spot coming at me. And I look at Rhonda, my wife, and I said, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Because it was approaching nice and quickly. It wasn't supersonic, unfortunately. I can hear it. So I was really hoping that she could experience a sonic boom in the mountains, because that'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be sick.
This son of a bitch passed by. I mean, it was really low. It was really low, and it was loud, and
Crazy.
you could feel it. It was cool. It was cool. And I'm
I
assuming
have a
they're doing
question
tests.
then.
There's like a base 3 hours from here, but yeah.
I have a question for you guys then, since we're on the topic of space travel. So what do you think about time travel? Like, like, it's a thing. Like, we can go we can go forward in time, but we haven't figured out how we can go back in time. Are you with me? We can go forward in time, yeah?
Yeah.
We've already gone backwards in time. We just talked to Otto.
Right.
2028.
Yeah. Well, that's forwards in time.
No, it's not. He came backwards to talk to us.
You threw me.
Yeah, he came back. Right. This is true.
So at least in 2028, we figured out time travel.
Did you listen to that? You haven't listened to that
No.
episode?
Yes, we just released it like 2-3 days ago.
Yeah.
Who released what?
So there's a guy named Otto at Cypher Diaries 2 on Twitter.
Is he? Yes, I think I've seen this. Yeah, go on.
He time traveled back from 2028 to talk to us about the money wars of 2028.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
awesome.
I did see this.
Yeah. So he's gonna give us the plans for the time machine as soon as he's allowed to.
No, but actually, like, on a
but
serious
actually,
level,
time travel though,
because we can travel.
There's a lot
forward.
there, right? So it's when you think about traveling back in time, I like to think about, because you always think about light and the speed of light, and the thought of, if you can go faster than the speed of light, you can see the things that were happening then because the light is there, right? And seeing things is nothing other than light. You're just absorbing light, and that's your images. So if you can find a way to put yourself in front of that light, then technically you're time traveling, even if you're physically not in a different time. But that's like a level of physics that's so far beyond my comprehension that I'm not.
Well, that's the point. Like, I think, the possibility. This is why I'm into tech, right? It goes so much more than crypto. Like, crypto to me is just like a piece of the pie.
It's a part of it.
Yeah, like a small piece of the pie. Like, I'm obsessed with the endless possibilities of the universe, right? That goes from tech to spirituality to anything. I love it all. And I think, like, if you can go, like, have you seen Interstellar? It's my favorite film.
The movie.
It's my favorite film.
That's a great movie.
If you go fast enough, like, if you go faster than the speed of light, like, you go fast enough, then time moves slower for you. And like, when you leave, say, like, you're talking about space travel, right? Elon Musk and all this stuff, right? If we're able to, like, be habitable on another planet which has bigger gravity, which is bigger than Earth, and the gravity therefore is bigger, then time will go slower for you on that planet. Then by the time you come back to Earth, you would have aged, let's just say, like 300. You would have aged, let's just say, like 5 years, whereas Earth has aged like 200 years, something like that. Like, that's time travel, and that blows my mind.
That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, to think of that reality of, or it being a reality to do something like that. I mean,
It gets even like, yeah, go on. Sorry.
no, that's fine. I was just going to say you wouldn't remember, but there was a show back in the day. It was called Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. And it was kind of the same. He was like this 400-year-old man, that was frozen and all this stuff. So, you look at movies or shows from the past.
Yeah.
And it's scary how much the things that were far-fetched that they talked about then are actually happening today.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, like they tried to warn us 30 years ago, and here we are. Somebody knew.
Well, like Donald Trump becoming president. No, I'm joking.
That was The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly. The Twin Towers was The Simpsons.
Yeah. So one thing that fascinates me with the concept of time travel is trying to determine what level of interaction you'll have with the different eras, right? I mean, let's just assume you can go back in time. Are you only able to observe because you're just picking up the light emissions?
The light.
Or are you able to interact because you're actually going back in time? And does that also mean that time is not really a thing and just a man-made construct?
Wow.
Is there a timeline? Is there at all a timeline? Are there states? Is this all just one big state machine and we can bounce between states like we can in a computer? I have no fucking clue.
Well, Elon Musk believes that's the case. Have you heard his game theory simulation thing?
Not in detail. I've heard a few snips of it, but.
Oh, you don't? What about you, Mitch? Do you know it?
I'm sorry, I missed it. I was reading.
Do you know Elon Musk's simulation thing? That we're all living in a simulation.
No, I don't.
Yeah, on a general level, I haven't heard.
It sounds like Truman's World or something.
No, what do you mean? It's like, how do you guys not know this? Come on. He says that, like, it's insane when you
wait. Says the journalist that meets all these people and goes through.
I've never met him.
And does all this reading and shit, and whatever. Go ahead.
Well, we're allowed to know about it, but not know.
I got excuses as long as the day is.
I'm sorry.
Hold on. Let me write down a few more excuses while we're at it.
Oh yeah, you need a book of excuses, and someone asks you.
I have one. I've got an encyclopedia of excuses.
I
have an entire set of encyclopedia of excuses, all the way from A to Z.
So funny.
So tell us about the Elon Musk. What is it with this
thing?
This thing you were talking about. This thing.
Okay, I'll try to keep it like super brief because I haven't watched the video in a while. I was actually talking about it like the other day. Basically, he says we're all living in a simulation. So he says if you look at technology and how fast it's advanced, back in the 90s, we had the brick breaker on a BlackBerry, for example. You had the board, the pong, and the ball, and you're nodding. Great. Do you know what I mean, Mitch?
Oh yeah. Mitch doesn't know what computer games are.
No, with the board and then the pin and then the ball has
ping.
To like bounce off.
It was called pong. It was ping or pong. Pong. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Fine. So we had that.
Atari.
And then we had that. Yeah. We had this thing.
Those are called paddles.
Thank you. The paddles and the ball.
Yeah.
We'll call it.
This is like live action Pong.
I know, right?
Yeah. We had that. And then it advanced to squares and an X and a triangle, the games. And now we are at a point whereby people can literally wear a virtual reality headset. And once they're wearing it, they cannot tell the difference between reality and virtual reality, to the point where we see videos online of people actually terrified, falling down in the real world because they are so engrossed and they believe so much what they're seeing to be real. So he's basically saying, if we can go from that to that in less than 20 years, then it is inevitable that we will go from where we are now to essentially a Sims reality, whereby people can then control the people within this thing, a bit like the Matrix in a way. So what he's saying is there's only three possibilities with this. Number one, it happened. We got so far in technology and it happened. Number two, we got there because it's inevitable, but we decided it would be inhumane to sort of control like that. So we decided against it. Or thirdly, something terrible happens, like an asteroid hits or whatever, and we never get that far. And that's where he leaves it. So to him, it's like, we're there, we're living in the Sims basically. But I do wish that you guys had seen this, because I have a question about this, which I'd love to address to Elon Musk one day.
Well, throw it out there. Let's see what we think about it.
Okay, so this is my question, right? Let's just say he's right. Let's just say we will get to a point whereby, you know, we are literally able to create a virtual reality and people living in that reality don't know that we are controlling them, like a game. Let's say we get there. But he's saying that, of course, we got there. That's what he's saying. He's saying, of course, we got there. But what if we are the first generation? So if we're understanding that time is linear, right?
Mhm.
What if we are the first generation and we will get to that point in 200, 300, 400 years? But right now it hasn't happened yet. Do you see what I mean?
I see what you're saying. How do we need 300 years to get there? That's the other question too, because what do you need? Let's think about what you need to create a simulation that can totally eliminate all sense of the real world around you. So right now we've got the VR headsets you put on, and you can trick your brain into believing you're not there until you receive some sort of stimulus from the outside world. You know, somebody taps you on the shoulder, you know that somebody in the real world still tapped you on the shoulder.
Yeah,
but
like being in a dream.
Right, but if somebody, you know, shoots you or stabs you or something in the video game, a lot of people will jump or have physical reactions because their brain, in an instinctual fashion, doesn't recognize the difference right away. After you step back, think about it, you can make that connection, but immediately you don't make that connection at all. So if you can turn off senses or control them completely, so it's one thing to say that we can make a device that allows you to smell something or allows you to feel something, but it's a whole nother thing to think that with like Neuralink, which is another Elon Musk thing, that if you can control or at least interface with the human brain, that you should in theory be able to find a way to interface with the senses. And if you can completely interface with the senses, you should be able to suppress outside stimuli while supplying manufactured stimuli. And
yes,
so at
exactly.
that point, now you're in the headset, you have your visual is all taken over. Your brain is fully immersed in that. You don't feel anything in the outside world. All you feel, smell, hear, everything is from inside of the game. At that point, how do you know that you're not just stuck in that forever? You know,
well, you
if you don't
don't
have any sense from the outside world. That's what I mean. So that going back to your question, are we there right now, or are we going there? So
that's what he's.
I
and
think
that's exactly
what we have to
Elon
ask
Musk
that is
said.
if we're going to try to figure out if we're in a simulation, the only way to do that is to try to figure out if we're being manipulated on a senses level, which I don't even know how the fuck to even start thinking about that, but that's where my head is going with your question without having fully.
All I know is if we're in a freaking situation, I want a simulation. I want to change the program because
this sucks.
all this shit that's happened this last year has just been brutal. And you know,
like,
I just want to see the code so I know what happens in 2020.
Now to be in this simulation and be able to control your environment and control the actions in which you are moving through. Now that's the next level stuff there, right?
Well, let's take it to the next level beyond that. What if we want to hack the simulation so that we can modify our own timeline? Is time travel really time travel, or is time travel just hacking our own code? You know,
and that's the thing. Like, if you know, that's another question that I'm going to put to Elon Musk one day. You know, if we're already in a simulation, anything is possible, right? Of course, we can hack. So, can we hack our own simulation?
Do we have an interface to that?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Where is it?
How can it be user friendly? Is that an option?
These are private keys, because if not, fuck
yeah, exactly. I don't want only my private keys to my own simulation.
We'll put this out right here. If the crypto campfire actually ever gets Elon Musk on the show, we'll be sure to make sure that we invite you, Layah, and we'll do a 4-way and we'll have one hell of a conversation, or vice versa. That goes back here. Whoever gets
this is a deal, Musk. Is what this is. This is right.
This is a deal here. Right? Could you imagine? Oh my gosh! It's just.
Do you know what? Shall I put out a tweet just for jokes and just see what happens? Just be like, my dream interview would be Elon Musk, Twitter. Can we make it happen? Fuck it. Should I do it?
Let's do it.
Why not?
Do it. My dream interview would be Elon Musk, Twitter. Can we make it happen? Yes, like congratulations on the baby or something like that.
That would be awesome.
There you go. We're coming for you, Elon.
Okay. So real quick,
you have to retweet it then.
I would like to say hello to everybody that's in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Can I see? How do I see?
It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pull up
we got the live stream. Polly P, Rick Lewis, Peru is here.
Wait, how do I do that? What do I type in?
Type in crypto campfire.
Here, I'll just. Okay. I was gonna send a link, but you can just navigate her that way.
Freaking crypto campfire. Oh, there we go. Oh God,
Yeah.
there's my face.
And then make sure you click the mute because otherwise you'll be talking. It's
yeah,
really
yeah.
the
I
feedback.
want to read through
But you
the
scroll
stuff.
through, you can see the chat.
Layah got
that's
some Bitcoin FOMO. No,
that's the diversion. Oh,
That's a
it
diversion.
does. It's distracting, isn't it?
it is distracting trying to do all three, all
Oh,
three
thanks,
things.
Clint Westwood. He says I have great energy.
You do. Yeah, you do. And that's why I think you fit really well with our show because I think we have pretty decent energy ourselves.
You do. I was vibing with you when we did my podcast. Well, it wasn't a podcast. I was just doing some stuff for TikTok.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, cool. I'll come on. I'll do it.
The interview. That was fun.
So I'm thinking that we need to, based on some of the small bits of conversation we had here, I think we need to figure out a round 2 here.
Oh, for sure. There's no question.
Do a pre-recorded one and talk in depth about time travel and just kind of weird future science and just crazy speculation and just see where it goes.
Right.
I think we can come up with some crazy shit in an hour.
And before we actually leave for today, I have one question, and I don't know. The professor probably
home?
has. The professor probably has the last question, but I would like to know, how has cryptocurrency or blockchain technology changed your life? Because it's incredible the opportunities that have came because of it for my life. And, being older, I don't know, did I lose my internet?
No.
Okay. All right. So, being older and not having or would have had these opportunities if it weren't for cryptocurrency and this ability to learn so many different things. So yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So how has it changed your life?
2 ways. First way, number one, first one. Okay, so I am like a whole different individual. Like, and I'm aware, like, as I navigate through life, I'm just my own person. Like, I don't seem to like vibe fully with people where I'm from. If that makes sense. And I found that in crypto, there's a lot more like-minded people, because something brings us here, doesn't it? Right? Whether it be sort of that underlying kind of like want for personal sovereignty or freedom, individualism. And of course, we don't all politically sort of fall the same way, but something brought us here. And we all have that in common. And look, I am in my 20s. I don't know how old you guys are, but we connect because we have this underlying thing in common. And for me, that's just been really, really great. Just being able to meet like-minded people and realize, you can connect with people. There are loads of people that have like similar sort of ways of thinking to you, and that's like really refreshing for me. Secondly, what was the second one? How has it helped my life or something? Oh yeah, it's the same question. I said 2 answers, right? So second answer is, okay, so this one's really key actually. There are more opportunities here because in the traditional world, things are so in the box is set and they are not looking to make that box bigger. Let me tell you, they're not interested. And within crypto, in blockchain in general, they're open to changing things, trying new things. And there are far more opportunities to grow here because they're looking to build, and I'm here to build basically. So
that way we could get the fuck out of the box.
I
Life in a box is no fun.
I don't want to be in any box. Like, people keep trying to put me in boxes because I don't know, I look this way or I am this way. Like, fuck that. I don't want to be in anyone's box. Boxes don't exist to me.
There you go. So last question of the day. As you saw on Twitter earlier on the thread, Polly P wants to hear about some replacement parts. So let's
I didn't understand that.
You wouldn't unless you heard some the end of a handful of our podcasts. So we always ask a question about replacing body parts with things. And so we'll give you a tricky one. If you could, or let's say if you had to replace your neck with any household object, what would it be?
What the fuck?
Exactly. Exactly.
He hasn't listened to our shows.
No, I have, but I haven't listened. I haven't listened to the ending.
You haven't caught all.
Yeah, we always take it off the rails at some point.
Right? I didn't know that. I literally didn't even clock that at all. Okay. A bottle of red wine.
Nice. Just like in a dispenser, and you can just like lift your head up like a Pez container. And
I can just have it when I want it.
Pour it
No,
out.
I can just like I would just like push in my tummy and it would like come
it just
up
comes
like the
out?
red wine and then I
Automatically drink it
Oh, it's
down.
like a built-in
Yeah.
dispenser. That's perfect. It's like a
Built-in
Camelback
wine.
internally filled with wine.
An internal
Yeah.
Camelback. I love it.
What about you guys?
Oh,
neck. Neck's a hard one, but I was initially thinking some sort of like what's the word I'm looking for? Actuator, so I could like extend my neck. But
I love that.
if I had to change my neck into a household item, it would probably be a blender.
a blender, your head is
Yeah.
Help you digest better, help
Well,
the food go
that way,
down
instead of
and-
having to actually blend your fruit smoothie, you just throw a bunch of shit in your mouth and it goes down as a smoothie.
It's hilarious. I love that.
Well,
Damn.
I mean, they're already the right shape. You could just put it in there, work it in. Garbage disposal.
Yeah.
Actually, just pull one out of the
Anything in
dishwasher.
there.
It's the right size and everything.
Oh my God, Layah, thank you so much for joining us today. This was an
Thanks for having me. It's been a
hope you
pleasure.
had fun. This has been a really good time, and people in the audience, thank you so much for listening today. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. This was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to do round 2 for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
Right on. Have a great day. And guys, if you're out and about, be sure to check out crypto. Oh my God, I just totally blanked.
You mean
on this.
CoinFlip ATM at
CoinFlip ATM.
coinflip.tech?
Thank you. CoinFlip.tech. Yes. I mean, yeah, I don't know why I froze on that, but these guys have been our sponsor since what, September, October? or
October, when we went to LA.
Yes, we
Yep.
went to LA. So they've been sponsoring this podcast since October, and just a great group of people, let alone they're killing it with the ATM industry. They have more ATMs in the United States than I believe globally. They have the most ATMs of any ATM company.
Yeah,
So
they're kicking ass. If you want to see if there's one near you, check it out. Coinflip.tech. They've got a map on their website. You can look it up, see if there's a CoinFlip ATM near you, and you can go buy some Bitcoin. Not financial advice.
And
Or-
stay tuned to the Crypto Campfire, because once a month we'll be doing giveaways, and CoinFlip's going to be sponsoring those giveaways. So we're gonna.
Are they now? This is news to me. Hell yes.
This is new. You've been away, so we're
All
gonna be
right.
doing some giveaways, and the only way you're gonna be able to participate and actually receive from the Crypto Campfire is watch our show, and it's gonna
Bingo.
be, the giveaways will be in the show. So
I like that idea. We're
Heck
also
yeah.
going to be doing, I don't know if these will be part of the CoinFlip sponsor giveaways, but I have some plans for some new merch stuff. And a couple other
Sweet.
interesting things with some other community members from the crypto space. So we got
speaking of new merch, we need some new T-shirts for Westwood 2020, sir.
All right, I'll work on it. We need to get Benzo on the line.
All righty.
All right.
Layah, you have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Peace, everybody.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye.
Peace.